Good morning, everybody. Cheers, everybody. So I'm going to be applying another Foiliar spray fertilizer to my plants this morning. This time I'm doing a combination of both fish emulsion and the liquid kelp. I wasn't able to cover all my garden plants last time I did a spray, which was a couple days ago, so I'm getting the other half today. We had rain mostly yesterday, so that's not a good time to spray. We do have some rain in the forecast for today, but there's enough time in between the rain event coming in and this spray to be absorbed by the plant's leaves, the stoma. The chickens are being quite vocal this morning. Most of the hens are laying eggs again. All my birds are over 8 years old, by the way. But check this out. I gotta do some collecting because we've got eggs. There's another one up here. Another one there. Another one there. So this chicken over here, she's my most vocal hen by far. And her issue is that when she wants to lay an egg, she wants total privacy. So she doesn't want to be anywhere near the other hens. So she's actually really smart as well. When she does this, she's paying attention to me. And I can go set up a little egg laying house for her, and she'll watch me do that. And within a couple minutes, if I just give her a little direction, she'll head over there and go into the box in most cases if it's in a spot that she likes. So I'm gonna let her out today. Let's see how that goes. See Matilda getting ready to jump into one of those nesting boxes there. Got a lot of tree trimmings here to contend with, as I recently did the work of taking down this fruitless mulberry. Still got to get through this beast of a trunk here. I've got a 14-inch chainsaw that won't quite get there in one pass, so I'm going to have to hit it from two directions. Probably do about 4 cuts to take this down in sections. So yesterday I set up an egg laying house for that blackbird there. It looks like she's headed right over towards it. I wedged it behind an artichoke plant, and it's just a 32-gallon Rubbermaid tote with a little opening in it like you'd see in a doghouse, and there's some straw in there. And yeah, she's headed right over there. And one thing about her as well that's funny is that if I'm looking at her, or if any other chicken is in proximity, she won't go into it. She needs to have that feeling that she's discovered something and that she's got total privacy. So it's just so funny how each and every one of these chickens has their own individual personality. And over the years, I've learned what they're trying to tell me, how they're communicating, and it's really helped to streamline raising chickens. Once you get what their issues are, what they're trying to tell you, it becomes really easy to take care of chickens. So now that I've let just that one chicken out of the run, everything's quieted down quite a bit. So that's what I'm talking about, is I've just got one chicken out free ranging right now. Not much to worry about as far as her getting into any new transplants or seedlings. But just the one chicken and me being out here. Plus she's just going to go to the box and lay an egg at some point. And the rest of the chickens are now happier because that vocal chicken is gone. And now they can enjoy their peaceful morning. It's just funny. You can see we got a mix of clouds and blue sky. Like I said, we're supposed to get some rain today, on and off throughout the day. But I'm going to get as much done as I can while I can. If I do have to head inside because it starts pouring like yesterday, I've still got some seeds that I'm starting, some work in my little grow room that I'm doing. So here's that nesting box house that I set up. Well, looks like she's still just checking it out. I'm sure she'll be back soon. But if she had laid an egg, we would have all heard about it. Chickens are pretty vocal after they lay their eggs. Quick update on the bare root strawberries that I had installed in this raised bed. both of the raised beds over here. They handled those freezing temperatures no problem. Never had any dieback. In fact, one of the plants right here is already starting to flower. And these are an ever-bearing variety known as sea berry. So they start fruiting in the spring all the way into the fall. Getting the same results over here in this bed. So those strawberries I planted in the raised bed were purchased bare root in bundles outside of a package from my local nursery. I had also purchased several bags of strawberries at my local Walmart. They're $3 a piece. And those ended up getting tossed out. Every single bag that I opened up, the roots looked dead. There was no viable growth. They were tiny. I just thought, I'm not going to waste my time with this. So I went back to the nursery. By now, though, they're no longer selling the bare root. So they've got them in these flats or 6-packs. I bought a flat of them. And these are those same bare roots that they potted up, and so the price is now doubled. So for 6 plants, it was like $6.50, whereas before I was getting a pack of 10 bare roots for $5 or $4.50, something like that. So the price doubled, but oh well. I'm gonna plant some more of these strawberries out. Strawberries can make an excellent ground cover, an edible ground cover. So around the base of a fruit tree where it can get some southern exposure. So you wouldn't want it on the north side of the fruit tree where we'll get too shaded. But on the south end where the tree is going to get the brunt of the full sun during the midday, that would be the side that you want to install your strawberries. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that now while we got this nice break in the weather. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in a bunch of those strawberries right here, right in front of the citrus tree. I'm also going to dig up and transplant that borage plant. Hopefully it makes it. But over here, I had already worked the soil a bit, put some amendments in there. I was getting it prepared for the strawberries that I had bought in the package before I threw them out. But I'm going to wrap this around this way and fill in this whole area with strawberries as it all gets full sunlight. Tree roots around here too, so I want to be careful not to break anything. That came out really nice. I think I'll plug that borage in right at the base of this pineapple quince. I'd mounded up a pile of wood chips over here. These still need to be distributed in the area here. Here comes the rain. It's alright. It's probably just going to be a shower by the looks of the sky. Not much worried about that. Lots of worms in here. And I'll sprinkle a little bit of mycorrhizal inoculant on those roots. Give it a good jump start. I think I'll let this shower just pass through. You can see we got some blue skies creeping up behind those dark clouds. Thankfully we had enough time between my spraying to allow the leaves to fully absorb. Otherwise it would have been all for naught. Check out the florets on the abundant tree kale. It has some of the most dense seed heads out of all the different perennial greens that I grow back here. I mean, these are as close to broccoli as you can get, really. There may be some broccoli in its parentage, but there are really nice healthy florets all over this plant that could easily be harvested, steamed up just like broccoli. I noticed we got Matilda here in one of the nesting boxes. Hello, lady. She's actually turned backwards. Poor girl. And the reason for that, I forgot to mention earlier, is that an appropriate design would be to offer some sort of darkness, some sort of cover in front of these nesting boxes so that they remain dark and more private. And that's what I've had set up. I had another tarp that was hanging down in front of that. But I recently took that down. I'm doing a little bit of redesign at the moment. And then the outside of the boxes is outside the coop, so I don't have to get in there. Just open up the door. And then I created these holes on the back of the bucket so I can reach in there. Grab the eggs out. I'm going to leave that one in there. Because if you take all the eggs, they get frustrated and they look for another place to lay. But as long as there's 1, 2, 3 eggs there, they'll keep laying in the same nesting box. So that's how that works. And this was a really easy reuse project. I picked up this used bowling alley locker free off Craigslist and made the conversion in a matter of an hour or two. I usually also have some corrugated metal roofing atop here just to protect it from getting wet. None of the moisture actually gets into the boxes, but I want to protect this from ever rusting out. But again, I took that down as I've been doing some reorganization over here, working on the coop. The actual chicken coop itself is just a section of a 10 by 20 car canopy that was damaged, so I just cut it down to size and bought the appropriate size tarp. And because we don't have aggressive chicken predators in the area, in part because my dogs are out here a lot of the time helping to defend the coop, I mean, we do have chicken hawks, we have possums and raccoons that can come around, but it hasn't been an issue so far. But because of that, and because our weather doesn't get all that cold, there's not a real reason to build walls around the coop itself, although I do plan on doing something like that in the future. So I do plan on putting a post, a door, and maybe some plywood or some chicken wire fencing around the rest of the coop just to keep it nice and contained. That way if I do take off, go on vacation or something, they'll be nice and safe inside the coop, no worries there. But right now we've got the chicken run, which is on one side surrounded by these goji berry plants, which I've made mention before, do a great job making a living structure that just helps to contain the birds and kind of beautify the space. I plan on transplanting and growing more gojis around the entire structure. I found that this works wonderfully. And then the birds got all this food to gorge on. There's going to be more plants established out here, but some of the various different tree collards, there's some borage. They often eat the artichoke plants, the leaves, which is interesting. Later in the season, when the banana starts to flush out, there's plenty of shade and protection for them there. Here's a patch of abundant tree kale that they've really gone out hard. You can look at those bottom leaves. Those are all stripped by the chickens. So yeah, they're quite happy with their coop and chicken run. It's worked out good. Definitely a budget design. And usually I just work right through a little rain event like that, but I'm not much dressed for the rain right now. Man, these are some really healthy looking strawberry starts here. And again, there's the variety. I think I called it a sea berry earlier. It's actually a seascape. And on the tag it reads, "Everbearing strawberries produce fruit from late spring through fall. Excellent for containers or hanging baskets. Used for jams, pies, eating fresh." Trying to get this umbrella set up on my tripod here because we're still getting a little bit of drizzle. My camera's not designed to get wet. There we go. So I just attached a tarp bungee to the stand, and I've got the bottom of the umbrella tied to that little hook down there. So I'm going to continue this design flowing around this way, and I just pulled out a couple of these dino tree kale plants I had recently planted. And as you can see, the pill bugs have eaten this to the stem. These might come back. I might go plug these in somewhere else, but this is pretty much what I've been dealing with this year. It's been worse than ever. The majority of my transplants have been getting eaten up like this. It's a little depressing, but we just keep on moving forward. So here's another unfortunate update that I got to share with you guys. And this was the garden bed. I've got 2 of these that I had seeded, and all of the seeds sprouted, came up in nice little rows. But as you can see, hopefully you can see, all these little stems with no leaves on them. That's because as the seeds were sprouting, day by day, they were just getting mowed down by the pill bugs once again. On this side, they literally got everything. These are radishes here, just eaten to the nub. But for whatever reason, they kind of stopped short here on the radishes. Half of it's pretty much decimated. And over there, a little bit of the curly kale was left standing. Who knows why, but everything else got eaten. So it's unfortunate, but hey, on the bright side, I've got 2 well-prepared garden beds ready to go for round 2. So I want to take this opportunity to share with you guys that I don't always have success out here. Sometimes this stuff happens, and is it a failure? Absolutely not. I believe that there's no failures in gardening whatsoever. Everything can be chopped up to a learning experience. What I've really honed into over the last couple years is that as beneficial as all these wood chips have been, they've also created certain imbalances in the garden. One being the influx of pill bugs, which I'm going to reiterate again and say that the pill bug is not a bad insect. They're part of the overall soil food web, helping to break down decaying and organic material that surrounds the garden plants. So they do a great job, but they can really decimate sprouting seeds as well as transplants. They don't go after everything, which is kind of interesting. My cabbage plants, for example, have been left untouched. But over here is where I put another row of curly kale. And again, just nothing left. So try not to be discouraged if this stuff happens to you. I know it is a bit of a letdown, it can become costly, but you just keep going, you keep plugging away, learn from the experience, and move forward. That's all you can do. Something else starting to grow up over here that I'm pretty sure I intentionally planted, but I can't recall what it is right now. But it's kind of like a tuber. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that there. I really don't want to go too deep into the native soil. Don't want to disturb the roots of this Valencia orange too much. Let's work that in a little bit. That's going to make a nice little patch of strawberries if all works out. So I've got enough to establish a few more patches elsewhere in the garden. But for now, I'm going to get these cold hardy kiwis plugged into the ground. I've got 2 females and 1 male plant. I'd meant to get to this the other day, fell behind. And eventually I'm going to be building a trellis system over here to support these vines. But right now, time being of the essence, I want to get these into the ground before they start leafing out. So the male variety here is the Tamuri. Then I've got a female plant with the male name of Vincent. And another female known as Asai. There's also a sea berry over here. Plugged this in the ground last year. Starting to actually flush out some new growth. So you guys like my new rake? I'm happy about it. It's lightweight, fiberglass handle. The soil's a little high over here, so I'm just going to move it. I mean, the soil over here is so good, it's not going to require any amendments. With that being said, I'm still going to use a bit of this Mycos for root development. I'm going to plant this out the same way I did my fig tree the other day. That's a combination of digging a hole and also mounding it up. So I want it about right here rather than down here. So first I'm just going to tease these roots out a bit. Just helps wake up the plant, get those roots going outside of the pot here. Really nice root structure on this plant. Happy about that. There we go. More than enough there. Pull this up into position. Two more to go. Alright, so got another planting accomplished today. I chose to go with 4-foot spacing on these plants, put the male pollinator right there in the middle. You could definitely go much further apart, 10-12 feet, no problem. But because of the space that I'm utilizing and the fact that I'll be trellising these up utilizing the airspace, this is going to work out for me. And all that's left to do now is put a mulch layer on there. So I'll use some of this mulch that I scraped back when I transplanted that borage plant earlier. And that's going to do it. Chances are I'm going to be transplanting the sea berry plant as it no longer fits into this space. It's young enough to where it should be easy enough. Just dig it up with a shovel, transplant it like I did the borage plant. I think I'll plug in some of these calendula around these kiwis as well. I'll do that a little later. And I'm going to hold off on doing the rest of the strawberry transplants till tomorrow. I've got some other jobs I want to get done. I like to rotate through the various tasks that I perform in the garden, not get too stuck on one job for too long. It's good for ergonomics to switch up your tasks so you're not doing a repetitive motion for too long at one period of time.